ProjectZero were actually initially started in 2007, and I think the main reason for starting that was also, as Per earlier mentioned, either we move Danfoss or we move the whole local community. And we decided for the last part. So we were in now for simply moving the whole local community. And one area which you could say 2007 were actually early days for this green transformation. So, but that was actually where a group of people, they decided to go for this. So I would say that was more or less the platform for where we are today.
And we took the outset in the definition of, do we have competences or technologies in the area which can support green solutions? And therefore we discovered that within the ESG, primarily the E, environmental, was the major part where we have to put our bets and define the project. So it is a carbon emission reduction project, big time. Hit the zero in 29. And why 29? We didn't know. We just said we have to at least have 20 years ahead in order to make it. And therefore 29 was a good number. So it was a bold move for us. And we were aware of that the content we need to catch up during the project, in the start of the project. So today we are much more comfortable that we will reach the zero. The baseline was defined at that time.
But maybe to start up, you can say every country, more or less globally now, in the whole world, are looking at this green transformation. And a lot, and they are doing it in 100 of different ways. And what we said, okay, maybe we could be the learning part for others to say fast, intelligent, and cost optimal CO2 reduction. And especially the word cost optimal is key here, because everybody can place huge wind parks or huge solar parks, and that's of course reducing CO2. But the problem is you don't do it in a cost optimal way. So I think that has been one of the main areas where we have seen we can contribute to not only Sønderborg or Denmark, but the whole world.
I think we also discovered in the beginning that the housing part of the agenda, with apartments and houses, municipality buildings, etc., the university, those kind of buildings are comprising, I think it was 28% of the total emission of carbon. So why are we just let it go and not do something about the existing buildings? You follow? So therefore, when we build new buildings, we can understand how to use the right materials, etc. But the existing buildings, huge transformation we can do.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's more than 1/3 of the total emission.
Wow.
Yeah, so you say that's the first point.
So every city in the world today had that opportunity to target.
Yeah, and you can say, why do we say we can do it for half the cost for the society? It's exactly what Per is mentioning here, because if you're taking out 30 to 35% of the needed energy simply by using simple energy efficiency ways of doing it, thereby you can say, okay, now I need 30 to 35 less solar parks or wind parks or whatever I'm using, and that's a huge difference. Yeah. And the other one, a lot of people, we talk sector coupling. That's called all over. Nobody understands what that actually is. And that's the next one. If we want to make people move into sector coupling, maybe we should start telling them what does it actually mean. And that's a huge definition where you can say we have done sector coupling for years with this, where we have, you can say, heat and electricity for many years, where we were burning coal and etc. for electricity. You had a lot of surplus energy you have used. Now we are moving into heat pumps to electrify the whole system. And of course, but Power to X is what is putting. That's more or less what everybody talks about. We should also talk about that. But before moving into Power to X, there's so much we can do before that to make it.
And I also think that the lessons we learned at that time was the necessity of involving the citizens. I mean, really, the involvement, the user involvement. I mean, big time in order to move the agenda. You can make solutions, and you can put it into the window and say, here, buy this solution. But I think the involvement of the people and the citizens made the right move.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Exactly. And that's probably also why the Nordic countries are furthest ahead, because we have a trust culture where you can say it's easier to work together even you're not in the same company, because you have this trust level a little bit higher, and that means it's easier. Yeah. And that's where we can break the silos in the easiest way. And when we then go outside the Nordic, we can show by doing that you're getting extraordinary good results.
And we saw locally, even the right or left-wing parties took it onto their election program. So it was a common kind of thing. So it was a strong move. So yeah.
Yeah.
We have Danfoss as a company. They developed their ESG profile very fast after 2007. So we were sitting with a huge company at that time, developing in that direction where we need to support. But beside that, we also invested in the local community, in buildings, in hotel, as I showed, etc. So we were also forced to become solution makers into the environmental area. So the foundation was also taking an ESG agenda for their own investments. I think that was one of the strengths that we did. We were able to do that. So besides when we invest in capital assets, we require to, don't invest in coal and oil and so forth. We also when we make buildings today, it will be certified platinum buildings.
GGNB.
GGNB.
Yeah.
So we have gold and platinum now.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's we don't think about it today.
No.
But it's huge.
Yeah. You are.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It become a normality.
Yeah.
It's crazy to, it's a good question.
Yeah, but you can also say we started with the E, as Per also mentioned, but the S, if you don't have the citizen involvement, that is for me really the S part, because you can talk a lot, but if you're not getting involvement, if you're not getting people normally not working together, needs to work together, and also the G, because transparency has become a keyword also for us. If we were not able to make a very clear master plan based on real facts, based on real numbers, it would be a lot of talk. So I think we started from the E, but we have moved into the S and the Gs.
Yeah, that's right. If I just start, then you, Lars, you add. I mean, it's very important that you select and kind of assess the right partners. When you do the partnership, you cannot do it alone. So you need to establish partnerships with the municipality, with other foundations, etc., solution makers, companies, whatever. And therefore, the partnership part of this new journey is important. Then I believe, also based on ProjectZero, that you have to be able to create a baseline so you can measure the delta development over years, meaning how much do you develop within the criteria defined in the baseline. ProjectZero have the CO2 baseline described in 2007 with help from consultants, etc. So this baseline is firm, fixed, never touched. So the baseline you need to have as a starting point.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then the funding, it's not free of charge. You need to establish, as Lars mentioned, an organization of, we have 5 or 6 or whatever, sitting, dealing with the partnership model, but also assessing and supporting other stakeholders coming into the project. So you need to create this supportive organization.
Yeah.
I'm just,
I completely agree. I also think what we sometimes do wrong, we are creating the North Star 10 years down the road. Now we want to do this and that. If you're not able to break that North Star down to say, what are those 2 to 3 things I start doing tomorrow? Then you will have a lot of talk, a lot of discussions, and therefore you need to be very clear and saying, yes, that's where we want to get to. There's a long stairway up there. Now we start with those. And as you said, right, therefore this the master plan model where we have we need 10 years or more, and we need the right partners, as Per said, and then we simply need to say, where do we start? And that's where we say, let's now start with the energy efficiency part and be concrete there, because that's where we have very short payback time. After that, we go to the next one and then the next one.
You're right. The 5 partnership models we have today, we have been using these elements as a starting point, but we also kind of required a master plan, because describing the journey, describing the purpose, but also trying to define the end result.
Exactly.
We have master plan all over,
yeah.
A very, very good question. And for just looking into the Nordic Foundation as we know about, I think it is, maybe we could reach out and try to connect closer on this agenda. And we have showed today that we can offer a close connection. It will be transfer of knowledge. It will be cooperation back forward. I think there is a kind of connection point with this agenda.
Yeah. Exactly. And we know the whole world are looking at what is happening
When
here.
we were downstairs half an hour ago, when we finished, I was just 1 centimeter away to say, please come to Sønderborg and let's discuss this.
Yeah. Yeah, because as you also said, last week or 2 weeks ago, we had the Singapore government visiting. And the reason for them is they want to be the center for Asia, exactly as you can say Nordic is somehow the center for, especially for this green transformation, because we are furthest ahead. And they are looking at how are we able so we need to be a learning environment. And as you rightly said, Per, that means we need to share. We need to see how 1 + 1 can be more than 2 by cooperating with more partners.
I think more partners teaming up in kind of affiliates or groups, whatever we call it. Cooperation, kind of formalizing this journey will be great. I mean, we have the possibility to do it.